Hi everybody, Matt back with you. Hope you're okay. Today I'm on my way to a little place called Luddenden. It's between Hebden Bridge and Halifax, and it's kind of hidden away up the river called the Luddenden Brook. I'm going to walk there via the river, and when we get there, some of it might be familiar to you. We have filmed here before, but specifically there's two things I'm doing today. One is to show you how beautiful the place is and what's there and some of the things that are there. But secondly, it was 45 years ago a filming location of the TV series In Loving Memory, which was a comedy about an Undertakers starring Thora. And that's what you might find familiar. So I'll show you some of the locations, not all of them, and some of the things that make Luddenden beautiful. So it's quite an interesting start to the walk, because as you head on, you go past these red brick buildings. These are old bunkers. I think World War II bunkers. Have a look at these. So there's a few of them. And the reason they're here is where this new lot of housing was a mill. And the mill was involved in making things for the war. Not sure exactly what. So because it was a potential bombing site, they had to have bunkers ready to go. Now I haven't brought a torch today, but all these are kind of open and accessible to look at. I don't think they were ever used. This is the last one here. Lost behind the undergrowth. No, they continue. I think that's about 6 or 7 so far. Let's walk through one. So they're all the same. Okay, so now we follow the river on this rather poorly kept path. So who remembers In Loving Memory? It was on between 1979, so at the time of recording it's 45 years ago, finished about 1986 and ran for 5 seasons. And it's set in a fictional village. It isn't officially called Luddenden, and quite often it's a bit confusing because there's mentions of Manchester and the Bridgewater Canal, yet still set in Yorkshire. And it revolves around an Undertakers called Jeremiah Unsworth. And Jeremiah Unsworth is played by Freddie Jones in the very first episode, and then he dies pretty quick, and then it's left to his wife, Thora, and her nephew, Billy, played by Christopher Beeney. And it's all the fun you can possibly expect from a bit of a British farce. You know, every funeral has something gone wrong. you do notice on the walk is there is a lot of new housing estates, and these have replaced the mills that were here. Apparently there was about a dozen mills running through Luddenden at one point. I don't think any remain, although you might be able to see if I stop and zoom in. There is a mill on the top there, chimney, it helps. And then once you reach the end of the housing estates, the old starts to appear. Okay, so now we're in the centre of Luddenden, and behind us is the historic Lord Nelson, which is where Branwell Bronte apparently used to drink. I'm pretty sure he got everywhere. I seem to say that for all old pubs. Behind us is St Mary's, I think it is, and this area is featured often in loving memory. Now, a lot of each episode is set inside, so it would have been in a studio, but there's occasional outdoor scenes. So we're going to find some of the locations as best we can. Remember, 45 years has passed, which is quite a while. So we're going to start our location guide at the top of the hill here, and in a minute you might see what was Unsworth's Undertakers. Okay, so this building here, not easy to film on a road like this. This was what was used as the Undertakers. This was Jeremiah Unsworth's.
God almighty, lad. What are you trying to do? Make your own work?
I'm sorry, Mr. Beeney. It's just that...
I've heard business is quiet, Billy. But I'll go when I'm cold, not when it suits thee.
Surprisingly tricky to film with the dogs barking and two people at least staring out the window at me, and the traffic. So I'm sorry, that was a very quick look. That was the Undertakers that was used. That was Jeremiah Unsworth's Undertakers. Obviously now private residence as well, so quite glad the curtains were closed. Right, next stop. It's a nice bit of history just attached to this building here, which is an old school. You might be able to see these doors. One says Midgley, one says Worley, one is boarded up. But these were lock-ins, so if people were ever drunk and disorderly back in, I don't know, 100, 150 years ago, kind of didn't need to go to jail, just needed somewhere to cool off for the night, they'd be thrown in here and dealt with the next day depending on which parish they came from. So Midgley, Worley, yeah, private now I think, so we won't pry any further. So this Cobbled hill will look familiar from the shots that I'm showing you today. Left hand side you can see those 3 steps there. This was set up as the pub, and quite often you would see Thora or anybody else come up here and go to the Undertakers, but I'm guessing it was because of the setting of it being a cobbled ground. The other one isn't, so quite often you'd see them leave the Undertakers and then, not from here, but this particular part, they would disappear down the hill or come up the hill and go into the Undertakers. But as you can see, it's a different location altogether.
You're all the same. Couple of pints, you start getting aggressive. Right. No, honey. Come on, I'm taking the old. Coward, yellow belly, Nancy butt, and that goes to your flaming collie and all. Right, I'm taking the old. Come on. Right, come on, need to get early. Come on. What for? Come on. Where are we going then?
Here's a few locations that show us the war memorial. Here's another scene with the war memorial. Okay, so now we're outside St Mary's Church, and there are a few scenes filmed here in the graveyard, so we'll have a wander around. Not sure if the church is open, but if it is, we'll have a look inside as well. Yeah, not open today. Inside there's a wonderful piece of folklore. It's called the Boggart's Chair. And that's going to have to be for another day. Right, the graveyard. Once again we see that same kind of route Jeremiah runs with in his car, setting off down the hill and ends up driving into the graveyard and essentially to his death. Again, it's piecing it together. There is no direct route a car could take to get into here from where that is filmed, but we'll see if we can spot the locations for in here. Struggling to figure out quite where the car was driven through, especially when in the background you can see the mill at the top. So yeah, not sure. I'll keep looking. Certainly some impressive gravestones here. Right, so now I've reached the top of the graveyard. There is obviously very much a drivable road here, and it's completely behind the trees now. You can see the chimney of the mill in the background, and actually I think it's more on this level than from down by the river. But yeah, I can't quite figure out where that was. I'm sorry, but it was definitely here somewhere. In the meantime, look, there's an old abandoned chapel on the grounds. Sealed up and fenced in. Right, figured it out. It's definitely here because you can see that and those two, and then the mill in the background. On the road here we get the crash and the wheel runs along. Alright, well the next scene to look at is also in the graveyard and takes place on the steps just here. So we start at the top there, and the loose control of carrying the coffin. Of course, when you look down at the other side, it's down on the grass and the vicar is waiting at the bottom, and then the coffin falls, etc. But you don't see them on the steps when they are falling. That is where it starts from. Okay, so now heading up from the cemetery, just there, up the hill, just to show you another intro scene that I think was shot from just up the road here. Okay, so possibly shot from here. We see a car going on that road there, and there is a bit of fallen snow, and eventually they drive to the mill. So that scene must have been filmed from this road here. So this area is actually somewhere quite close to my heart. Although I never spent much time in Luddenden, we would drive through it near to Christmas every year, because for some reason Luddenden always had fabulous Christmas lights. And my dad used to drive me around. The mill, is it there? Yeah. The mill, I can remember being on fire in the early 80s when it was still a mill. I don't know what they made there or anything else. Now it's flats. And I have no recollection of any of the mills in the valley. I don't think we ever went down there. Just on the hillside here somewhere. It's not easy to see, sorry. Here perhaps. That is Booth, next to Midgley. And that's where my grandparents lived when I was young. And quite often on a Saturday, my parents would drop me off there, whilst they went into Halifax to do this Saturday shop. So I spent a lot of time there and around the area. Jerusalem Farm is just over the hillside. And then my dad and my brother worked further up at a place called Collett's Transport. So I have lots of memories of here. In terms of in loving memory, not a lot. I do remember it was on sometimes. And I was always quite a fan of Thora. I couldn't have remembered anything in them until I rewatched just series 1. And the clips we've looked at today are literally just from series 1. I'm not going over all 5 series to look for locations. I guess they're kind of similar. But yeah, let me know. Do you have any memories of watching in loving memory in the past from 45 years ago? Maybe it is even your favourite sitcom. I don't know. You tell me. For now, let's head back down into the valley and let's see if there's anything left of any of the mills that would have been scattered along the river all the way along. So heading down what is aptly called Mill Lane, look at this, there are some potential ruins here. A little bit left of a mill. Yeah. As we head down that path, look here as well. Remains of another mill just here. Just the back wall. So, it's walking through a sea of garlic. And it's a bit rocky underneath due to it being a ruin. Just wanted to look at this tunnel here. Is this a cellar? I don't think it goes very far. Oh well.
find that nice again. Oh, the heck. I've heard of cut price funerals. Or rock bottom.
So maybe that's something for another day. Lost Mills of Luddenden Valley. You can certainly see how they would have harnessed the power of the water flowing through those little dams on the way. Yeah, I need more info on that. Okay, so there we go, folks. That is our look around Luddenden and some of the locations from in loving memory. Now, often when we do these film location videos, we'll try and fit as much in as we can and cover everything. Not for this one. I think it was nice to show Luddenden as well. It's a beautiful spot and well worth a visit, as many places are that I end up at. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Do leave us some comments below. What have I missed out? Oh, I've missed something. Or got my info wrong somewhere. Feel free to throw that at me. But if you've enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Why not share? And why not subscribe to the channel? Because there's lots of other videos like this on here already and still to come. Okay, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. And we'll see you nearer the end of the week, and Tom's back. Yay! Take care. Bye for now.